Welcome back to my channel. My name is LaShawn and this is Lush Uncut. So the big news out of today was the interview that CEO of X, Elon Musk, had with former President Donald Trump. The interview was scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern time, but got started about 40 minutes late due to some technical issues. According to Elon Musk, the site suffered a DDoS attack, which to my understanding is when a bunch of false users log onto a website and the system gets overwhelmed because of the false requests as well as legitimate requests, and basically it kind of just glitches and breaks. So they started about 40 minutes late, but eventually they were able to get things together and get Trump and Musk on at the same time. The interview lasted for about 2 hours and at peak had about 1 million live viewers. I was able to log on at some point and listen to the first 30 minutes or so of the interview. Judging from what I heard, it was a good, solid, calm interview. I did notice, lately that Donald Trump, when he sits down with these, one-to-one personalities, similar to what he did with Aiden Ross, he's able to kind of be more loose, more relaxed, and more collected in his answers, because obviously he's not trying to fight with the person that's interviewing him. It's way more beneficial versus when he sits down with someone from the mainstream media. Speaking of the corrupt media, the propagandists obviously had to propagandize, and propagandize is exactly what they did. This morning, I was scouring the internet for what I know I was going to find, and that is misleading headlines about this interview from major media outlets. Here are a few. The first one I have up here is from USA Today. It reads, Trump rambles, slurs his way through Elon Musk interview. It was an unmitigated disaster. For a fascism-curious billionaire who loves cuddling up to right-wing loons, Elon Musk sure is good at making right-wing politicians look stupid. That is journalism in 2024 for you. This is from The Guardian. Familiar vitriol and Musk the enabler. Key takeaways from Trump's X interview. Not so bad. NPR, light on news, heavy on personality in Elon Musk and Donald Trump X interview. Again, this is journalism. This is what we have to suffer through in 2024, and it really is absolutely ridiculous because, again, no matter how many times I get used to this, it will never sit well with me. It will always surprise me because I remember growing up, sites like USA Today or especially NPR, you think to yourself this is going to be good objective journalism. I'm going to be able to get the facts about whatever it is that I'm reading about and get a good and accurate understanding of it. And I remember when I first started listening to podcast, I was listening to the NPR politics podcast, and at that time I wasn't very much into politics the way that I am now, so I literally just wanted to know what was going on, and the podcast was about 15 minutes long, so I was like, I can listen to this and basically get an accurate update on what's going on. And I remember listening to it after a couple of weeks and thinking, they don't really like Donald Trump. Again, at that time I really had no grounded opinion on Donald Trump and so on and so forth. I was just listening to be informed, and I was like, they seem to not like Trump. You would think that, considering how much people have begun to distrust the mainstream media, that they would try even a little bit to appear objective, but they just cannot do it. So anyway, in addition to the headlines, of course, we had the panels from the different networks that had to talk about the interview and spew their venom. So here is a panel from CNN talking about the interview.
What he's been saying on this X stream, he talks about Harris, and really seems to be still grappling with the fact that she's now the candidate and it's not Joe Biden anymore.
They're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
It's like watching Grumpy Old Man or something. There's just, I don't mind attacking a person for their policies or their positions. But he's just sort of griping just because she exists, to your point. And I think we know why he's griping because she exists. She's a black woman. And everything that I've seen in the course of his career, and I know that he has black women in his circle, and I know he's appointed Omarosa and all of that. I know all of that background. But I also know when he's confronted and being held accountable by black women, time and time again, he is shown to be someone who is uncomfortable in that situation. And I think he's complaining more because it's Kamala Harris, a black woman, than any other factor.
You know, I always find it so funny when they like to act as if Republicans are insane for bringing up Kamala's race. You know, one minute they're like, you know, it's a great thing that she's a black woman or an Indian woman or a minority woman or whatever woman. It's fantastic that, you know, we have the possibility of overcoming this obstacle. Because I don't know why we need to have a woman in office. I don't know why that's a box that we have to check off in American history. Like, I don't understand that. So they sell it like it's this great thing that she's a woman and that she's a black woman. But the moment when we mention like, hey, you kind of only care about the fact that she's like a black woman, or that shouldn't matter, they're like, oh, why are you talking about her race? How dare you talk about her race? They are such liars. They would love for the conversation about this election to be centered on Kamala Harris's racial identity. That is the conversation that they want to have, because Donald Trump never once mentioned her race in that clip. He mentioned the fact that she is an incompetent politician, in which she is a very incompetent politician. So that's that. And moving on to our friends in MSNBC. Let's see what they had to say.
I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way.
The highest level of diplomacy there.
Come on.
A little Valley Girl
no
diplomacy. Way. Wow.
Who was that? It was Zappa? Which Zappa? Moon Unit Zappa? Was Valley Girl? Yeah. Was that?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
He's channeling Moon Unit there. That's pretty awesome. No way.
And he's so proud of his relationship with Vladimir Putin. Just won't come off that position. He loves the guy.
You know, it's so funny how they like to make fun of Donald Trump for speaking the way that he does. But what they also despise is the fact that that makes him more relatable to the general American public. And that's not to say that the American public doesn't appreciate when they have a leader that's a little bit more eloquent than Donald Trump. But Donald Trump speaking the way he does makes him authentic, and people like authenticity because he's not trying to come up with these complicated ways to communicate his point. He's going to say it exactly how he wants to say it. And if that could be a little simple for some, then that's just what it is. And people like the fact that he's going to say like, yeah, I went to Putin and I was like, wait. But the fact of the matter is, I personally don't care how Donald Trump chooses to communicate to someone like Vladimir Putin, as long as the message is received, okay? As long as Putin knows exactly what he's trying to say, then we're all good. And it's also very hilarious to see just how much they depend on the ignorance of their viewers, because they want people to not put the connection between Donald Trump not being in office and Putin not invading Ukraine, and Donald Trump then leaving office and Putin then invading Ukraine. So it's like, y'all want to talk about his relationship with this guy as if it doesn't seem as if it worked out in Trump's favor while he was in the White House, unless they are insinuating that Putin loved Trump so much that he decided to wait until he left the White House to invade Ukraine to make Trump look good. Maybe like Trump is playing like 4D chess with an entire country, which is obviously ridiculous. But again, I said this earlier, it will never ever cease to amaze me how much these people are hell-bent on lying. And the craziest part about it is that they're doing it to their own detriment, because their viewership has been down significantly, I think, since Trump came into the limelight of politics. So this is an article from Fox News that was written, I think, earlier last month. It's dated July 2nd. It says here, Fox News crushed cable news competition during the second quarter of 2024, topping prime time for the 90th consecutive quarter as CNN hit a 33-year low in a critical category. Fox News averaged 1.3 total day users compared to 810,000 from MSNBC and a dismal 473,000 from struggling CNN. So it's not as if people aren't getting sick of it. They just don't care. And I think the question then, presents itself. One, who is pulling the strings? Because if they're willing to lose viewership, that means they're willing to use advertising dollars in their mission to propagandize on behalf of the Democratic Party. Like, who is telling them it doesn't matter if you lose viewers? It doesn't matter if your network doesn't exist in the next 5 to 10 years. I need you to do this thing. I need you to talk as much smack about Donald Trump as possible. I need you to ignore the obvious disaster that was the Biden-Harris administration. Who are they answering to? The good thing about it is at the end of the day, like mentioned earlier, the viewership is going down, so they might answer to their overlords, but at the end of the day, they are technically answering to the American public, and it seems as if the American public is not satisfied at all with what they are presenting to them.